and they cook together. Mexican American women spend a significant portion of their time cooking. They don't eat at fast food restaurants. We saw very little fast food in the homes. They like boil beans from scratch every day. And communal cooking is really accepted. So when they do parties, like for Christmas, they make tamales. It's something that's very natural to them. So I thought it would work for that reason. And there's less stigma. It's thought to be, and I actually believe it is a less stigmatized form of food assistance. So when people are asked about, people who are participants in collective kitchens, they don't feel that it's a welfare program because they're doing the work. So the food is there, but they actually do. There's the dignity of preparing your own food, and it's not feeling like someone's doing you a big favor by giving it to you. And you do pay a nominal amount. Next slide. It also, I thought, would be incredibly useful to overcome a lot of the barriers that these women experience. So lack of transportation to large supermarkets is tough. Smaller stores within walking distance are more expensive for the most part. It wasn't in San Jose. And they're less well stocked with healthy food choices. So that leaves, and some of these women would do it. And I would challenge any one of you to get on a bus with 3 kids and go to a grocery store and buy like 3 gallons of milk and all the food you need for a week, and then get home on the bus and somehow not lose your mind. So it's, to actually get to a supermarket was pretty much impossible for most of these women. Cash flow within the household is meager, so they all can budget for food better than any one of us in this classroom or in this room, because they do it every day. So they know that the bigger size is less expensive. They just can't afford it. They don't have the money to buy it. So this sort of, gets rid of that barrier. Often they have inadequate or lack of access to kitchen facilities. When I said we did this Monday, we actually had one woman who said, well, I don't have I was trying to convince her to take this kind of lasagna thing home and bake it on Thursday. I kept saying, you can have it on Thursday, because my Spanish isn't that great. I could say Thursday. And she finally said, I don't have an oven. So she needed to have it baked right there because she doesn't have an oven. When you're living with 3 other families, you don't have the luxury of commandeering the kitchen all day to do your cooking. And then childcare for our families was always a big challenge. So even cooking, shopping, just having time to do that is tough. Next slide. Last slide ahead. So to start with, we did focus groups on this idea. They said they wanted to save time, try new foods, learn to prepare new foods, had to be worth it. I'm not a big focus group person. I'd much rather do it. So we did it on Monday, and I was like thrilled to pieces. It worked really, really well. So we had 4 moms come. We charged them $15 to do it. When we worked it out, if we would have charged $20, we would have broke even. But I just didn't want to. I'm going, you're doing me a favor by showing up, because this could totally flop. So it worked wonderfully. They went home. They actually we also gave them a list of a whole bunch of different things that they wanted to cook, and so we're doing it again in December. But their first choices were we made chili rellenos with tofu and ground turkey, and we baked them instead of frying them. We made lentil soup. We made baked ziti with spinach in it, and we made pumpkin bread. And so they went home with almost enough food for the week for $15. It was cool. It was totally cool. So my job is, we'll probably do an evaluation of this when I get to it. So that's what I do. I'm more long-winded and definitely academic.
So, any questions from the audience?
It was in East San Jose at a place called Marca Mexican American Cultural Association, Recreation and Cultural Association. So we're very, I've been there for 10 years, so I can get into any community center. So we, not me so much as the women I work with, are very, very integrated in the community. So we had like 3 kitchens offered to us when we started looking for it. This was a big kitchen. It was an amazing kitchen. 2 ovens. It was great. There's many questions. They actually, when we talked to them about it, they wanted to do it about twice a month. And I sort of toyed with the idea, should we have more? I just went 4 because this was sort of nerve-wracking to me. So I think we could have done more, but we need a bigger kitchen almost. There's interesting kind of dilemmas. They wanted to do more of the work. We kind of did. We didn't do all of it, but we definitely organized it. And they, when we talked to them a fair bit at the end, they said, well, next time we'll do more of the work so we can learn more. Well, it is in Canada, so that's just how it's done. It's also much more decentralized. So, you know, it's just sort of, I can't think of an example that would be equivalent here, but you know, like I think when church groups or Boy Scout troops kind of get together around Thanksgiving and do a food drive, they don't do that. They get together and they sponsor a community kitchen. And so it's not like formalized. I worked in public health, and as a public health nutritionist, I was responsible every like 4 months to help with menus or something. I don't remember what I did. It wasn't a huge issue for me. I didn't like it because I had no experience. I had my mother do it. I was your age. So, you know, so it wasn't a big part of my job, but there was sort of this sort of, you know, you have to check on it. There was the issue, the food bank is sort of on board with the Second Harvest Food Bank in San Jose. I talked to them about it. I didn't involve them in this round because I just thought, let us like blunder ourselves and not involve anybody else. But we talked about food safety issues, and the guys, the environmental health people at the county were phenomenally supportive. So they said, oh, no, this is, you know, because, you know, it would be like running a restaurant and we'd have to get all those certifications, and I was like, can't do that. But they were like, oh, no, and then they wanted to come out and give a lesson on food safety, which would just be great, sort of thing. So there wasn't, I thought that could have been just a barrier that would have shut down the scene really fast, but they were incredibly supportive. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about, like, you had said that a lot of, I can't remember your percentage, but a lot of households with like undocumented people, they're not signing up for food stamps. So what is available to them? Are they allowed to sign up for food stamps?
They're totally allowed to.
So they are, but
they're totally afraid of it. And you know, when I talk to the people at the food bank, they really freak out about that. You know, they want us to help us with, like, they would like our help to do that. You know, I could, but I'm not paid to do that. So you know, we always say, yeah, you should sign up for food stamps. This is how you do it. I have very trusted staff who've been standing on street corners for 10 years. So, you know, they're very well integrated into the community and they can do it. But it's even the school lunch forms they're terrified of. And if you saw them, you would be too. I would, you know, it's just a hard, you know, they ask your income. They'll say, like even some of them won't get WIC for that reason. WIC seems to be a little bit more accepted because it's for the baby and the baby is born here, and so I think they feel some level of security with that. But some of them even won't get WIC.
Anthony, could you explain what WIC is and like the significance of the WIC program right now?
WIC is Women, Infant, and Children. How much do you guys know? This much about WIC? This much? Okay, it's Women, Infant, Children. I can give you the rundown. I guess from a practical standpoint first. So WIC is for pregnant women to 5-year-olds, and you have to get certified. So there has to be either an income issue or there has to be income to start with, but it's not really low income. I don't remember the percent of the poverty level, but it's like higher than it is for food stamps. And it has to be some sort of nutritional issue, iron deficiency, I can't remember the other ones, overweight, underweight. And then, so once you get signed up, you go in, you see a WIC nutritionist, which is a difficult job. People hate that job. And then once you see the WIC nutritionist and get your nutrition education or your breastfeeding consultation sort of stuff, then you get WIC coupons, and that allows you to buy the WIC food package, which is certain cereals, juice. They have just, which is like a huge excitement in the world of nutrition, added fruits and vegetables. You can use WIC coupons at some farmers markets. It's sort of a pilot program. Peanut butter, eggs. I think that's it. So, do you want me to talk about issues at WIC or practical stuff?
This year we're doing reauthorization, right? So it also involves school lunch programs as well?
It's all under the Child Nutrition Act. Right. So I guess we'll stick to WIC. Yeah. WIC, I think when it gets, you know, it's sort of like a program that, do you want to, like, I actually, WIC is better than school lunch. Start there. So WIC, I get tangled in this because I don't want to go rogue like, what's her name, like Sarah Collins.